What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a special edition of the Wrestling Junkies Podcast. I'm Mr. Cincinnati, and conspicuous by his absence is the podcast dad. He is off doing the dad part of that title, so he will not be joining me today, but that's okay. You guys will see him soon enough, but I am very clearly not alone. My next guest today has worked with Over the Top Wrestling, Defy, Progress, Future Shock Wrestling, among countless others. Please welcome Simon Hill. Simon, welcome to the show. How are you?
Oh, man, what an introduction that is. I need to clip that one and save it for the old records book. Incredible. Dude, thank you for having me. Thank you for getting in touch. And yeah, looking forward to it. I'm all good. How's things the other side of the pond?
Fantastic. We're coming off of a great weekend with some special events that we help sponsor. We'll be hearing, you'll be hearing more about those over the next couple of days and weeks as things go on. But we're just thrilled to be doing what we're doing, enjoying conversations with great people, just talking about something that we love, which is professional wrestling. So If you're ready, let's get right on into it.
Absolutely, man. Let's do it. Let's talk the wrestles.
Awesome. Well, here at the Wrestling Junkies, if you're in the wrestling business, you have an origin story of some kind. I mean, these are characters, they're superheroes and or supervillains, somewhere in between. They all clash. So if you could humor me, tell me about some of your earliest memories of pro wrestling.
Oh, wow. In Your House 7, which was Shawn Michaels. Oh, was that the one versus Razor Ramon, or was it against Diesel? I'm trying to remember. So my earliest memories go way back, I guess vaguely before that. We used to, in the UK, get something called Superstars on a Saturday morning on TV, and you watch that, and there's all these big, larger-than-life characters. And I was just always fascinated by it. And obviously, back in those days, wrestling wasn't what it is today. And it wasn't until kind of the late 80s, early 90s that it really started to become something big. So the usual remarks would come out back then. What are you watching these guys dressed up in Lycra for, and that kind of thing. But I was absolutely enamored, fascinated by it. And I think I watched that same In Your House video way back when. It must have been multiple times, 30 times a week. It'd just be on repeat. And I fell in love with it then, and I kind of just drifted out a little bit, and then all of a sudden just got suckered back in my early teen years, which is when the Attitude Era had dropped, and the rest is history.
Love it. Did you ever have any aspirations to get into the ring?
Yes, I absolutely did. My initial plan was always to become a wrestler, but the professional wrestling here in the UK wasn't what it is or was for what you guys had it over in the States. There were a lot more opportunities over there than there was here. It was still very new, very fresh, very unknown territory over here. So I didn't quite know how to go around it. And, my background in being a presenter and things like that, I always knew that I had something to offer for the wrestling industry, but I just never knew how to get into it. So now, though, things have obviously changed, and I have trained, but I live in the ring vicariously through my girlfriend, who's a professional wrestler. Quick shout out to Leah Raven, double champ over here. But yeah, she's so I'm the biggest mark going for her. I'm a huge fanboy.
That's awesome. So yeah, as you've alluded to, and like we said off the top, you are a presenter. What inspired this particular career path? Is it just, you've got an incredible voice. Is it just kind of, when's that realization hit of, I think I'm onto something here, just very organically?
A lot of trial and error and a lot of harsh lessons. So it all began, we have a radio station over here called Kerrang Radio. I'm sure that you remember the magazine back in the day, Kerrang Magazine, Kerrang TV and stuff. And we had the radio station over here in the UK. And I used to listen to that radio station every single night for Tim Shaw's Asylum, which was a very Howard Stern, radio show. He was touted as the British Howard Stern. So you can imagine, very tongue-in-cheek, pushing the boundaries as much as possible. And I just thought, you know what, this is actually what I really want to do. And I was 18, 19 at the time, and again, had no idea how to get involved in this side of the world. Other than I knew there were media studies that we had here in the UK before they split it up into broadcast journalism or several other variations of now. And I remember on the radio, Tim Shaw, the presenter at the time, would say on air, if you guys want to come down and watch the show unfold, text the studio number, blah, blah, blah. Producer will get you in, we'll come and you can see it all unfold. And just like Howard Stern, and he did turn it into a bit of a TV show, didn't he? His radio show in the end. But Tim Shaw's Asylum could have had its own camera crew, because like Howard Stern, Howard wouldn't just get people to talk about what they're good at, he'd get them to show you. Well, Tim would do that as well on radio, but would be so descriptive that even if we had magicians in, he'd be getting a magic trick, but you're listening to it on the radio going, well, I can't see, so I don't understand. But because it was such an engrossing, captivating way to listen to radio, it was the most listened to nighttime radio show in the country. Wow. And I was a guy that was a fan who just managed to get into the studio to sit in the corner every week. Once a week I'd go and just watch it all unfold. And I was, I thought this was like me sitting next to Leonardo DiCaprio at the start of it. Yeah. And I ended up working on that show. And through persistence, hard work, and I ended up being very, very close friends to Tim Shaw. And to be quite honest, I still, to this day, attest a lot of my career to him, because he taught me the rights and wrongs and the hows and the how not tos. So, that was the beginning. And that was a really long-winded way to answer one question. Sorry, dude.
That's okay. We love that around here. No. But you had the early love of wrestling. You've now got the experience in presenting. How did you marry the two worlds?
So I knew a few people who my side job is a DJ. And I used to DJ after parties for a British wrestling promotion here in the UK. And I was like, okay, this is really cool. And I'm seeing all these NXT guys come in and out, and I'm like, yeah, I can do something here. So, I'm sowing the seeds. I'm speaking to the right people. I'm just finding things out. And in the end, I just put some stuff together and send it to every promotion going in the UK. TNT are the first ones that get back to me and offer me a job there. And then, so I do one night at their DOA tournament. And in my first outing, Ricky Shane Page boots a light tube out of Clint Margera's hand, and the remains of that light tube come hauling towards me straight for my face. And this is my first introduction into life working within British wrestling. Obviously, this was a deathmatch tournament as well. But so you can imagine it was if you want to get into this, then you've got to know what you're doing. Like, you got to have a hard stomach for it. So again, it was that, and it was a lot of feeling out, reaching out to people, speaking to people, networking, showcasing that I have a set of skills that I can use in places I love, and by giving that an impact, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
absolutely.
It was a hard lesson, and wrestling, as we all know, is a very complex industry and business, interwoven into many, many different different areas and scopes. But once you find your way, man, it's a beautiful place to work.
Yeah. So for those that may not, put a whole lot of thought into this, and I'd love your insight on. So, when it comes to wrestling promotions, can you tell us a little bit about what they're looking for in a ring announcer in particular? Is there a certain style, certain method? Like, what are some of the intangibles that promoters might be looking for when wanting to book a ring announcer for an event?
Confidence is key, and being well researched. Some of the older guys, that I've spoken to or interviewed in the past or managed to share locker rooms with, they still speak about respect, and that being a really key thing in this business is, although you have to have bags and bags of confidence, you've got to also know how to control that as well, because there are 30 other guys and girls in the locker room with the same bags and bags of confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So, there are some amazing commentators out there and ring announcers. There are also some pretty bad ones. And it's all about being well researched. There's that thing in wrestling of, don't be there to put yourself over. I, as a commentator, my job going into my job every day is, right, I need research on this, because my job is to get the talent over in the ring and to make their story stand out, grow, and to put them in a light where it all feels so natural and real, and it's something that you as a viewer or a listener can latch onto just a little bit more. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
the same goes for a ring announcer. You're front and center for that 2.5 hours. The guys and girls in the ring may only be in the ring 15 minutes, sometimes half an hour, 40 minutes, but you're the first and last voice those guys in that on that show will hear. So you've got to come with knowledge, know-how. Your delivery has got to be on point. And by me saying your delivery's got to be on point, it's about, practice. Record yourself, do it in a mirror, the old-fashioned way. We were taught as kids, hold a when you'd be singing the lyrics of your favorite Britney Spears song, holding a hairbrush in the mirror. And it's practice, what works, what doesn't work, and you're always going to make mistakes. Everybody does in every job they do, but it's about delivery and doing it with the right intentions. We have some good ring announcers over here. We have some ring announcers that are more focused on getting chance for themselves rather than the talent they're introducing.
Yeah.
And that's the difference in a good ring announcer and a bad ring announcer.
Sure. And to further expound on that, because it's easy, or at least, as a fan watching the product, it's easy to, get the idea of commentary putting over a performer. They're, essentially commentators are providing the lyrics to the music going on in the ring. When, as an announcer, announcing, wrestlers making their entrances, how's an announcer getting them over in that moment? Because it is such a quick, it's just an introduction to something larger going on in the match, and you kind of bookend that. So, what is it that you do to, put somebody over when you're in that position of a ring announcer?
So what I always speak to the talent. So, this is something that I learned very early on, and it was something that I noticed a lot of people in the UK weren't doing. So I made it, that's how I made myself stand out, is I would deliberately go out of my way to speak to every member of the talent of that locker room, to ask them how they would like to be put over. What is their introduction?
Yeah.
Are there key points? Are there bullet points they want me to hit? To heighten their character, heighten their persona, heighten the gimmick up.
Sure.
And, to give those big match feels, because that's what it is. It's a big match. Every match is a Mania match, right? So I always go out there, and there are little things, and this one was taught to me actually by WXW. So I remember I did a show for them that was up on the network, and their production team are incredible. They're absolutely unrivaled. And they taught me about the way you stand. So your delivery can be good, but if you're a bit slouched, you're not up, you're standing, your posture's good. You got one arm behind your back while you're holding the mic. All of that just looks the full package. It looks professional. It's how they teach you in WWE or AEW and all these other big promotions, because it's a TV standard. And it was WXW that taught me that. And ever since, that has stayed with me. So again, it's about being the full package. If I'm introducing, for example, who do we go with? Just give me a name, throw a name that I might know.
So John Cena.
John Cena. So yeah, if you're going to be introducing John Cena, you're going to be quite strong. You're going to be powerful. Introducing 15-time WWE champion, and you're going to elevate your voice. So you're going to ride it. Yeah, and that's how I do it, because you're bringing the fans in as well. You're riding you're riding the reaction of the fans. Sorry, trying to get my words. Where am I going with it? Trying to get the reaction of the fans, and you're riding that, and that's the same with commentary. Is because you get people screaming, "Oh my god!" for a wrist lock, but then by the time you've got to the finish, it doesn't sound as good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the same kind of thought process. Is you're going to ride it until you get to that name, and then you explode. And that's again just finding your delivery. Every ring announcer is different. There are some amazing ones that I look at and go, I don't know how you're doing that. That's just unreal, because there's little subtleties that everybody has, and every day is a school day, as I say. Especially in this industry.
Sure. And in addition to working in wrestling, I know that you also do some work with Walsall. Am I pronouncing that right? Football Club.
Yeah. Like, it's really good to hear it in that way. So we've actually got American owners now. Okay. So I've been getting used to them saying Walsall, this season. But yes, I do. Sorry, continue.
No, that's quite all right. Presenting for, and I know that you recently hosted their year-end awards. Take us through the differences in doing presenting/commentary for professional wrestling as opposed to football.
There are a lot of differences. Although when I got announced as Walsall Football Club's pitchside announcer, they actually, so it got put out in the papers and stuff, and the announcement was Walsall's very own Michael Buffer. So it was like, I say there's a lot of difference from a professional standpoint, but according to Walsall Football Club, there isn't that much.
Yeah.
There's a different level of attention, when it comes to professional football and working in the English leagues. And hosting the end of the season awards last night was, a pleasure to be a part of, and an honor to be, and privilege to have been asked, to be the trusted voice of that entire night for the players, the managers, the team, and the fans. So, that was a real highlight for the season. It was a great way to go out on the end of the season on that.
Love that. And I am just so glad that you mentioned Michael Buffer, because I did come across this tweet that I'm going to bring up on the screen here. You do a great job, continued success, and enjoy every minute. Let's get ready to rumble. How did it feel to see that tweet come in? Take us through just kind of that immediate aftermath of seeing that.
I can still remember where I was, and I think I'd just arrived at a wrestling show that I was working on. And we were prepping anyway, and my phone goes off, and I kind of look at it, and it's just Twitter notifications. I put it down. And then somebody stops talking to me, and I think it was my girlfriend came running and was like, "Have you seen your Twitter?" And I was like, No, we're just going to go through the notes. She's like, "No, look at your Twitter." So I opened my social media, and I just dropped to the floor, sat next to the ring on the floor, and I was like, "Oh my god! Like, this is the best ring announcer, the best announcer in the world, complimenting my work." I mean, if you don't ever require any other validation in the world, you've got it right there, haven't you? You've got the top level validation that you are doing the right things. Coming from someone like, Michael Buffer, who I remember when I got announced for Walsall, and he commented on that as well. Yeah. Walsall is a very, very small town. So the whole town kind of went into meltdown. Like, oh my God, Michael Buffer, global superstar, knows who Walsall Football Club are now because of this new announcer we brought in. So straight away I was golden boy. Without doing much work whatsoever. It was that message in particular has stayed with me and will stay with me for the rest of my life. And what Walsall are doing now, so I was announced holding a Buffer t-shirt, Walsall shirt, and they're framing that for me now, the football club, and you can get it signed and let me have it and stuff. So that's going to be awesome.
That's fantastic. I mean, there is no higher praise than from Michael Buffer. That's just got to be mind-boggling for sure. Um, Kind of following up on that, I also saw something else you posted. Is a quote from Damian Lillard. If you want to look good in front of thousands, you have to outwork thousands in front of nobody. Now, take us through some of the things that you do, again, to stay sharp in front of nobody, so that way when you are in front of thousands, you're ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. And, this is kind of people watching this are going to be like, he's stuttering, he's all over the place. I'm very tired. And,
okay.
getting back to work after a couple of months off from operations is probably why I'm so tired, especially after the awards last night. But what I do behind the scenes, and somebody asked me this, funnily enough, last night. It was one of our first team coaches. It was like, we see you do all the events and stuff. We see you do the hosting and the commentating and all this. He said, but what are you doing in between all that? I was like, I have to prep myself for all the stuff you see. And I always keep my vocals warm. I focus a lot on reading and watching and keeping up to date. Research, I must spend hours and hours and hours a day on researching, whether that is, for my next wrestling show on commentary, whether it is for the next Walsall match, whether it's for the next esports event I'm hosting, in Poland or wherever I've got to fly to, whether it's my next bunch of DJ sets. Like, I don't stop, much to the displeasure of my girlfriend. Like, she probably gets one full day out of me a week. Behind the scenes, research is my biggest tool. And by research, I mean I am watching others in the roles that I do, not to mimic them whatsoever, but to make sure that I'm keeping myself fresh and engaged and up to date, and make sure that my work is constantly growing. And there are a lot of people that I look up to, I aspire to, and who have influenced me along the way, and I always keep up to date with those guys. And I network a lot as well. I spend a lot of time messaging and emailing and networking, and just making sure that I'm always in a conversation somewhere, because I think that's important, especially when you're in this kind of industry, because people are always so critical to go, oh, well, you've done all the big gigs now, so you just kind of get what you want. Well, no, I'm still in people's inboxes, and I'm still talking, I'm still sending footage, I'm still sending clips and promos, and because I still have to do all of that too. Don't forget, on a wrestling card, they might be hard to get onto a show, but there could be anything from 20 to 30 spaces for that wrestling card. For a commentator or an announcer, there's one or two.
Yeah.
I've got to be good enough and stand out to get that spot still and hold on to it. And it's the same with anything, esports, there's only room for one host, and there are some incredibly talented people out there that are, on the megabooks, touring the world right now with some of the biggest esports events. But I've got to keep myself going. I've got to keep myself fresh. I've got to grow with those guys. And even if I don't get an esports gig within like a month or two break or between each other, I've still got to be ready for when that call comes in.
Yeah, no, I mean, and that makes complete sense. I mean, it's not necessarily a business that, especially if you're, relatively young in it, you don't want to let rest on those laurels if you've had one massive opportunity and hoping that it's just, or assuming, I should say, that it's going to lead to, just everything under the sun handed to you. And that's, we've certainly noticed that with people on our show that have a lot of that same mentality.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's what it comes to in this business, really, is you've just got to have the right mentality. Just have the right attitude, the right mentality. It is tough. It is really tough, but it's so much fun and so enjoyable. You can really have a blast. Like, I look back now and I'm very privileged to have done the things I've done, especially working in wrestling. But, I get to share a locker room with some ridiculously talented people. I'm getting to share a locker room with Nick Nemeth and Dan Housen in a couple of months' time.
Wow.
I cannot wait for that moment. I mean, my girlfriend and Nick are already best friends because, he tweeted a picture of her and him holding the titles together a couple of days ago.
Nice.
So she lost her mind because he had just randomly posted this picture and tagged her in it as well. So she's just like meltdown mode.
Love that. Love that.
But what's going to be really weird is I'll be, hello, Nick, I'm Simon. And he'll be like, Leah, how you doing? I'll be like, all right.
Yeah.
She's become the star of the household now, mate. That's the thing.
It happens. It definitely happens. But I did come across another picture on X here, and this just seemed really, really cool. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about it, but hanging out with Claudio, Adam Cole, Britt Baker, tell us about this experience and how it came about.
So this one was actually sprung on me. So I was hosting the Rainbow Rumble, which is an esports event in London in the studios during the All In weekend, where AEW were going to be at Wembley. And the director came in during a break and he had a bunch of cue cards and he just put them under my desk and he went, "You'll know when to pick those up." I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Leave them. You'll know when to pick them up." And I was like, "Well, I need to. It's a live show, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is being broadcast across the world." Anyway, so all of a sudden, we're mid-flow, we're rolling off stats and, kind of hyping up the finals and things like that. And I just out of the corner of my eye see the studio door open, which never opens whilst we're live.
Sure.
And so straight away my eyes caught. And what the viewers could hear, though, was music playing. We didn't have that in the studio. So the viewers heard Claudio's music playing, which we didn't. Yeah. So I just see then this huge, gigantic, tall figure enter the studio. And it's black behind the cameras and stuff. So I couldn't really see much. It's very dark. And as he gets closer, I figure it out because I see the gold sparkling.
Yeah.
And he stands directly in front of the camera. So it's like this, literally. Viewers can't see a thing. And then he walks around, shakes my hand. And then I go back in and we start talk. I go to just welcome him to the show. And he goes, no. I've got something else for you. I was like, "You've got something else?" And again, the viewers heard Adam Cole's music, but I didn't. So the studio door opens again, and I didn't see anything as such. Adam's quite small, but that's not a knock on him at all.
Yeah.
I just couldn't quite see because I think I was still focused that, Claude, I've got another body on set with me. And then all of a sudden, Adam Cole walks in, and I'm just like, I actually lose my on camera. So it's for about 3 or 4 seconds of that broadcast, you'll see when Adam Cole comes in, the professionalism just escapes because I kind of walk back off the set and walk back on. And yeah, he came on, stood right next to me, and that was unreal. Those two are incredible as well, by the way. They're truly remarkable people who are very friendly, very energetic, enthusiastic. We all know Adam's a gamer anyway, so it was fun to have him there, talk about games, and to talk about AEW with that coming up. And we did have the opportunity to go to the show and watch as well. So we finished the broadcast on the Sunday at like 5 p.m. I think the show started at 6, and it was the other end of London, so we had to just kind of get there. I think I missed like the first 20 minutes of the first match, which was like, I think that was the Joe and Punk one.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. So yeah, I missed the first 20 minutes, but yeah, that show was unreal, incredible show. Hope they knock it out the park again this year. But yeah, so again, to answer your question, this is just another one of those things. I think, I put it this way before in an interview where it's really weird because everybody has goals, everybody has dreams, and everybody has an idea of what they really want to do in life. I think I've just lived my dream. I think that's all I've done is everything that I love and I'm passionate about and I enjoy doing, I live that. And I'm very, very, very lucky because there aren't many people in the world that get to say that. And when it comes to esports, I'm a huge gamer. I love games. I work in gaming. I'm passionate about presenting. I work in wrestling. I love wrestling. I get to meet and hang out with people like Adam Cole, Nick Nemeth, John Moxley. Yeah, the list goes on, and it's just, I get to do this for a living. I get to pitch side announce not just professional football, but a football club I grew up watching. And again, you could put me at Manchester United. Yeah, it'd be cool, but it wouldn't be Walsall.
Yeah.
Because I was never a Man United fan. I was always a Walsall fan.
Sure.
So again, I wanted to work in radio. I did it and I loved it. And those days are still very precious to me. So yeah, I'm very fortunate because everything I do as well, including DJing, is all with it's all with the principle of me entertaining others. So, whether that ring announce, commentating, presenting, DJing, it's all with one goal, and that is to entertain others. And if that's what 1% of the people that I get to interact with take from that, I've done my job.
Well said. Well said. Absolutely well said. We've been talking all things Simon Hill for about 31 minutes now. I'm going to have you turn the spotlight away from you for a second. Safe in Our World, you're an ambassador for this organization dedicated to mental health in the gaming community. Tell us a little bit about this organization and how you became affiliated with them.
Safe in Our World is a wonderful organization. Yeah, and you summed it up perfectly there. They are a community-based charity that support people with mental health within the gaming sphere. And, that is a broad spectrum that we now cover. And we've got several partners under our belts now that support us, key developers like Ubisoft and, so many more. We've managed to really become a safe place for the entire industry now by supporting others. And Safe in Our World is, even though I'm an ambassador for them, they've helped me through tough times. They do little things. If you're on their website, there are games they have listed that have a positive impact on you. Ones to play that will help your mental stability. So rather than just jumping straight into Resident Evil 4, where it can be quite stressful when you might be in a weak place mentally yourself, they handpick games that are more colourful, enjoyable, fun in a different kind of way. It's little touches like that Safe in Our World really do make the difference. And it's an organisation that travels around the country as well at expos to reach out to more people. I would encourage everyone to at least check out their mission statements and everything like that. There are also some great testimonials. A lot of the ambassadors as well, myself included, were asked at the very start to give an example on how gaming saved their life. And at the time, mine was Uncharted 2 and Nathan Drake.
Yeah.
So when that game originally came out, I was in a pretty bad place. But Nathan Drake and his wit and his humour and his, his dastardly ways, for me, still one of the best games ever made for several reasons. But being able to get lost into that kind of world is what that game gave me. And several other of our ambassadors have shared the same kind of story in various ways. So again, Safe in Our World, incredible organisation. Please go check them out. I got involved when I was working in the gaming industry, but more from a business side. So I helped launch the likes of Shenmue, Metro Exodus. We were just starting to work on the new Dead Island before I left. F1, Dirt Rally, all those kind of games I helped launch. And that's how I got involved. I got approached by one of the owners, and they asked me if I'd be a part of it, and I said yeah without hesitation.
Wonderful. Well, I mean, it certainly is a fantastic cause, and I mean, anytime that you can blend those communities together and create that safe space for people is really, really incredible. So hats off to you for such a worthy cause. Simon, we are coming to the end of our time here, but we have saved the most important question for last. You've done great so far. So this one might make you think a little bit, but we do have a continuing debate here at the Wrestling Junkies podcast. WrestleMania may be in the books, but there will always be one question that always pops up every so often, and that is, who is truly Mr. WrestleMania? So Simon, when you hear that moniker, Mr. WrestleMania, is it Shawn Michaels or is it The Undertaker?
It's Shawn Michaels.
Good.
My girlfriend will kill me for that because she is a huge Undertaker fan. But yeah, it's Shawn Michaels without a shadow of a doubt. You know, the Heartbreak Kid was the one that broke the mold for me. Do you agree or disagree? You're Shawn Michaels side, right?
I am team HBK all effing day. So the podcast dad will probably have something to say about that when he watches this back, but he can go cry me a river.
I'm going to tell the same to the missus. No, she's actually had, so her color scheme is purple and black, which is after the Undertaker.
Yeah.
And she has an amazing story when she met him. We saw a show, and he ended up spotting her. So we met him backstage, and then he spotted her in the crowd after the show and gave her a really personal message. And it was really weird because I'm stood still in the crowd watching my girlfriend talk to the Undertaker, turn around, and she's crying, and I'm like, "What the hell is going on?" Yeah. So that was a wonderful moment. But honestly, dude, this is you guys. I want to say this whilst we're live. This is the most well put together podcast I think I've ever been on. I've been on a lot.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
But this is incredible. You guys have got something great going. You're a very confident, well-researched host. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
You know, for all your viewers and your listeners out there, stick with this, man, because this is a special place.
Thank you very much, Simon. Greatly appreciate the kind words, and we certainly hope to have you back on in the near future. Before we let you go, tell everybody what you have coming up as far as events, and where can everybody find you on social media?
So social media, I am at Simon H Official everywhere. That's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok as well. I'm just starting to use TikTok, even though I'm a bit late to the party, but I'm putting like clips of commentary reels and stuff on there. So I'll try and keep that going a little bit more as well. And my next few events. So OTT are going to be here for Scrappermania in August. Let me get the actual date so I don't mess it up. I have got shows before that, but this is going to be the really big one. Nick Nemeth and Danhausen are on the card. Those are the two we've announced at the moment. There are definitely some really exciting ones to follow it as well. So that is going to be August 9th at the Hangar in Wolverhampton and August 10th at the National Boxing Arena in Dublin. Definitely you don't want to be missing that. We've also got Future Shot coming up, and that is this weekend. Looking forward to that, commentating a huge show that's going to be stacked. Some cool titles going to be on the line there, and I think there's going to be a bit of drama along the way. And many more shows, which you'll see all on my social media. As for the football season, that's over here now. My last bit of it for the season was done last night at the end of the season awards. So nice couple of months break over the summer from football or soccer, as you guys call it over there. I'll be putting my energy elsewhere for that, which will be, I think I've got a few esports gigs coming up, which I can't quite talk about just yet, but I'm pretty tight with Ubisoft. Let's just leave it at that.
All right. Well, we certainly cannot wait to see what you do next. And once again, we thank you for joining us, and hopefully it's not the last time.
I hope to do it again. Absolutely.
Wonderful. Well, for Simon Hill, I'm Mr. Cincinnati. Thank you so much for checking out this episode of the Wrestling Junkies Podcast. We'll be talking to you guys soon.